I'm Darryl Cherney, and I'm running for the presidential nomination from the Green Party, United States of America. I'm probably best known for two things. One, saving Headwaters Forest, organizing the campaign back in 1986 with my friend Greg King, and staying with it for 13 years until it became the Headwaters Forest National Reserve, one of the largest unprotected stands of ancient redwood forests. The second thing I'm known for is being bombed in a car with Judy Barry and arrested by the FBI and the Oakland police for bombing ourselves, falsely being accused of terrorists. We sued the FBI for violations of freedom of speech, saying that they knew we were innocent and lied because of our political beliefs regarding the redwoods and protection of the environment, as well as the union organizing we were doing. And although Judy passed away 7 years after we filed the lawsuit after surviving the bombing, we went on in 2002 to beat the FBI and Oakland police at a jury trial, and were awarded $4.4 million, which, by the way, we collected most of. So those are the things that perhaps people know me for. I'm also a songwriter. I've been singing topical songs about the environment, about my friends, about politics. I have a couple presidential songs that I've written already, and I think you can expect more. I'm also a father of a 3.5-year-old daughter. She's my only child. I'm almost 60, and so I'm an older dad, and nothing has been more rewarding to me than being able to raise my child. She is my Lifetime Achievement Award, and she has also given me much more compassion and understanding of parents and the trials and tribulations that the everyday working parent has, not to mention all the children and parents and grandparents that are bombed all over the world, and how awful it must feel to be losing your loved ones or to have them injured or maimed for life. Not to mention all the children in Flint, Michigan right now who are suffering because of the dastardly deeds of the governor and government of the state of Michigan across the board. So my compassion has ramped up just exponentially. A lot of times activists have an intellectual knowledge of how badly people feel, but my daughter has brought this into my heart in ways that I had never imagined that she could. I used to do commercials when I was a child. I worked for Tony Schwartz, who was the most famous presidential television producer of all time. I earned enough to put me through college by the time I was 11. And I studied under Tony, who did the famous Daisy commercial, the little girl with picking the daisies and the atom bomb blows up in the background. It was a Lyndon Johnson against Barry Goldwater commercial in 1964. He was my friend for 50 years, and he was my mentor as well. And so I also bring a sense of media. I've been in thousands of articles and television shows and radio interviews, and I really want to just pay a great debt of gratitude to Tony Schwartz of New Sounds Incorporated.
Why should you be the Green Party nominee?
I think that what I bring to the Green Party is a sense of deep ecology. I am an Earth Firster. Earth First describes itself as a radical environmental movement, but to me radical means dealing with the roots. We always have to look at the roots of the problem, and for me the roots are hate, fear, and greed, and that we need a complete shift in human consciousness in order to solve our problems. To quote Sting and the police, there is no political solution. Of course, then why am I running for president? Because as Earth First would tell you, we use all the tools in the box. We don't need to limit ourselves, but I think we do need to expand ourselves. So the motto of my campaign is, the future is in our hearts. I have a few other mottos I'll lay on you later as the campaign progresses. I also have started producing television commercials, and I just completed my first one, and I've released it on YouTube, but there will be many more, perhaps even a couple dozen more. So I can bring to the Green Party a sense of how to do media, how to do commercials, and if anything, I hope that by doing my own commercials that I will inspire the other candidates, including Jill Stein, to do more commercials, to bring that out in people, to have a sense of a camaraderie competition, if you will. I don't feel that I'm actually in competition with the other candidates. I feel like we're an affinity group, and yet at the same time, I think being able to be challenged on some of our points is very healthy for the party. And I also think I'd make a good presidential candidate. I've got a good grasp of the issues. I've traveled the world. I understand foreign affairs as well as local affairs. Act locally, think globally. As you know, it's a bumper sticker. It's also been my motto. Sometimes I just like to say, think and act globally. So I am here to perhaps bring a little excitement and passion into the campaign, and ultimately it will be up to the Green Party delegates as well as the primary voters to decide. But I think that in the name of democracy, we are expected and we deserve a choice.
How can you bring non-Greens to vote for you?
The late, great Judy Barry and I worked as a political organizing team for 9 years. Judy was the target of the car bomb that almost killed us, but I was in the car too, as some of you may know. One of the reasons that we were bombed, and Judy targeted in particular, is that she wasn't just doing Earth First organizing, she was also engaged in labor union organizing. And I bring that here as well, the ability to connect environmentalists and working people, often in resource extractive industries, together. And so having a track record of both having worked with timber workers, as well as the United Steelworkers of America up in Spokane, Washington, as well as Newark, Ohio, and Gramercy, Louisiana, I have a track record of working with people who are not like us, except when you get to know them, all of a sudden you find that they're a lot more like us than you realized. I've working with the steelworkers. The reason I worked with the steelworkers is they went on strike against the Maxam Corporation, who owned Kaiser Aluminum Company, and they were on strike against Kaiser Aluminum. We were fighting Maxam, who owned Pacific Lumber and the redwood trees. And so when they went on strike, I flew up to Spokane, Washington, told the steelworkers about our commonality, that we had a common adversary, and next thing you know, 200 steelworkers are hopping on buses, coming down to Humboldt County to protest the Pacific Lumber Company's raping of the redwood trees. And so Judy and I both brought this bridge building of working people. And when I hung out with the steelworkers, boy, you know, they were so much fun to work with. And what Judy Barry would tell you, and what I will tell you, about working with people who are not like you is the first thing you have to do is like them. And I really enjoy the company of people that have serious disagreements with me. Yes, I like hanging out with Tea Party people, not just because we can debate, because I really appreciate where they're coming from. Working people are often, they're working hard, you know, and I, having grown up in New York City, a union town, a working class town, really developed an appreciation for how hard people work. I think we need to understand that 99% of people is the same. We all breathe air, we drink water, we raise children, we want to have them educated, we want a better lives for ourselves and our kids. We eat food, we like entertainment. There are so many more things we have in common. The 1% of us that's different is like the spice that you throw into a stew, whether it's curry or basil or a hot sauce. The thing is that we're all the same ingredients except for that little spice. And we have to stop hating each other or demonizing each other because of that little 1% difference. So as a Green, I can tell you that I will bring the bridge building and looking for what I call the highest common denominator between people, and that's how I will bring us all together.
What are your views on the economy?
The economy, that's a huge question. Well, the economy's rigged, first of all. We all know that. You grow up poor, you're going to stay poor more than likely. The first thing we need to do, I think, is focus locally. We need to have sustainable communities. We need to be making things here in the United States. We need to be encouraging people to make things in the United States. So even though I'm an Earth Firster, I'm not in favor of pollution of any kind, we still do need factories, as a matter of fact. In fact, I consider making our own clothing and our own stereo systems and all the things that we use here in this country a matter of national security. If we were to ever find ourselves in an adversarial position with China and they cut us off, we're screwed. So the fact of the matter is that our economy needs to be locally based. I do believe that the banks are controlling the world, and they're the ones who are laundering money for the cartels. They're the ones who are sucking all the interest rates and putting homeowners out of their homes through these insane mortgages. And so we need to rein in the big banks. We need to nationalize the banks. We need to make it so that things like, you know, keeping money in people's pockets is in our national interest, not ripping them off. So basically, economically speaking, we have a tremendous amount of work to do. Most presidents don't understand the economy. Money itself. Why don't we change the name of the dollar to the hour and understand that somebody shouldn't be making 10,000 times more than what another person is making. A doctor provides a valuable service, so does the janitor who cleans up the mess that the doctor made in the operating room. Whose job is better? They are equal. We are all in this together. We need to learn to appreciate each other. And the economy, remember, it has eco as the same root as ecology. It means home. It means how you handle your finances at home. And I'll just say one more thing. The prison industrial complex is just destroying our economy. It's putting good, hardworking people in jail. It's turning people into criminals, forcing them to be in either lives of crime or into destitution, where they cannot contribute to the economy. It's removing families of the supporting members. And so even on even from the prison industrial level, we are destroying the economy. We're destroying the fabric of this nation by throwing so many people into prisons.
And how do you view education in this country?
Well, I have a Master of Science in Urban Education and a Bachelor of Arts in English Ed. And so I am a credentialed teacher, permanent licensed in the state of New York. My father taught for 52 years. I've read John Taylor Gatto's book, Dumbing Us Down, and I think that the school system right now is designed to dumb us down. In fact, I would tell you that the only reason people are in schools from a mandatory level is at some point during the Industrial Revolution, somebody had to learn to read the words on and off, occasionally the word danger. But the point is that we are only, the educational system is sort of auto-programmed to only educate the public as much as we need workers. And as our jobs become less and less and less, the amount of education becomes less and less and less because we need fewer educations to fill those jobs that no longer exist, as a matter of fact. But the fact is that education is also a matter of national security. For starters, I would start teaching foreign languages. I would have really try to do everything I could as president to encourage the teaching of foreign languages starting at the age of 2 or 3 years old, because that's when you can best learn it, and that will make kids smarter. It really triggers the synapses in the brain in ways that nothing else can, and it makes us competitive in the world. This whole thing about one language in this country, we should be speaking 2, 3, or 4 languages in this country. I've met third world children, 10 years old, who speak 5 languages because they have to be able to speak to the tourists to be able to make money. So kids who are 10 years old are more educated in third world countries than full-grown adults in our country. So we need to learn languages, we need to learn skills. We should be teaching auto mechanics, computer skills, just how to build things, how to make things, how to sew, carpentry, welding. I could go on down the line. Yes, we should be teaching trades right in elementary school, and not this false history that is completely useless to us that we learn after we graduate college, usually, that everything we were taught is wrong. So a complete revamping of the educational system. I am a believer in the public education system. I've seen charter schools become complete rip-off organizations, just taking money and not providing education to kids. And so we need to revamp our public schools, make them relevant to building our infrastructure. And so, that's what has to happen.
Do you have any policies you would implement with higher education?
For sure, colleges need to be free, but the fact is that colleges used to be free. My father went to CCNY and he didn't have all these fees. Now you don't have a tuition, you have fees. We need to eliminate all the fees. We need to eliminate the education. A friend of mine was homeless going to UC Berkeley with a 4.0 average because she couldn't afford the $1,700 a month for her dorm, not to mention the fact that rents in Berkeley are almost just as high. So we need to be able to make education free for those who want it. Yes, we can have private colleges that charge what we want, but we have state universities and we can have federal universities as well.
And how do you feel about race and justice in modern America?
Yes. Excuse me while I take a sip of water. There are no ifs, ands, or buts about it. African American people, Latino and Latina people, Asian people, poor people, in fact, are completely discriminated against in numbers that are, you know, stark and obvious. And so when the movement Black Lives Matter shows up and says Black Lives Matter, and some people say, well, all people matter, they miss the whole point. The fact is that people have to say Black Lives Matter because that particular group in our country is being unfairly targeted, unfairly discriminated against, unfairly put in prison. You're finding that people are poor, they're struggling to survive, and what do? You deprive them of a decent education, you deprive them of their freedom, you deprive single mothers of social services. We are creating generations of people who are disadvantaged and be able to survive, basically survive in this world. So we need to, and not to mention the sheer police brutality that's going on. We need to have psychological exams for police officers the same way we might have them for airline pilots, for goodness sake. We can't allow officers with PTSD who are looking at people with darker color skin as the enemy, like they might when they were in Iraq or Afghanistan, to be roaming our streets, to be taking the money out of people's pockets, as article after article shows, with asset forfeiture, stealing cash from people with no criminal charges filed, especially poor people. So that's the first thing. We need to enforce our civil rights laws. Our civil rights laws are part of the Constitution, the 14th Amendment for starters, not to mention my favorite, the 8th Amendment, which protects us not just from cruel and unusual punishment, but also from unfair fines, excessive fines and bail. So you take a poor person, particularly people of color, and then you charge them exorbitant fines, and then you put them back in jail because they can't pay the fines because they're in debtor's prison, which means our jail systems are now taxing the taxpayers. This is all nonsense, but it is the mechanisms of a system that is designed to harm people. I call it the war on people. So I want to end the war on people by starting Justice Department investigations through my Attorney General of the various police agencies around the United States that are brutalizing people, the school systems that are treating different groups of people unfairly. We need to equalize the amount of money, not based on property taxes. And so those are just some of the things that we absolutely must do to help African American and other people of color in this country.
In closing, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I really want to talk about the environment for a minute. The environment is pretty much what I'm known for. I've been an earth firster. I've sat in trees. I've been arrested about 8 times for defending the environment, for sitting in trees and blocking roads and that sort of thing. From Watts Bar, Tennessee, trying to stop the nuclear power plant from being built there, to the ancient redwood forests and beyond. The ecology, again, refers to our home. It's how we manage the resources we have. And so the Green Party itself is named after the environment, green, which is why I'm taking this, doing this presentation here, surrounded by green, because that's who we are. So from the water in Flint to the water that everybody drinks to the air we breathe, these are matters of national and global security. They are basic human rights and we are watching them being commodified. We are watching ourselves being deprived of them. And as I've heard many people say, what is the point? Prince Ea said it in an incredible video he did called Man versus Earth. What point is it having civil rights, ending the war in Palestine and Israel and Afghanistan and Iraq? What is the point in stopping all these things if the ozone layer implodes, if the greenhouse effect warms the planet so that none of us can survive and the shorelines are inundated? So that's why I say Earth first. And I'm going to end with this song. Because I am, after all, the singing candidate. Now you know that this here country has been going to hell for quite some time. We got record unemployment, crazy corporate crime. Those folks out there in Washington, they haven't got a clue. But ever since I was a little kid, they said there's one thing you can do. I'm gonna run for president. I know this job was heaven sent. I'm gonna wear a great big smile, run the country for a little know I love this country, but you know it don't seem right when we got snipers, measles warnings, and folks going hungry each night. The air is all polluted, the water ain't fit to drink. We're on the verge of World War III, so I just started to think I'm gonna run for president. I know this job was heaven sent. I'm gonna wear a great big smile, run the country for a little while, have my hands right there at all the tools, have a chance to change it all the rules, elect someone who's competent. I'm gonna run for president. So let's have universal health care and a job for everyone. We'll clean up the environment, the schools will all be fun. We're gonna need new leaders, but we'll respect our elders too. The world will live in global peace, and I will promise you I'm gonna run for president. I know this job was heaven sent. I'm gonna wear a great big smile, run the country for a little while, have my hands right there at all the tools, have a chance to change it all the rules. Let me manage how your money's spent. I'm gonna run for president. You can hold this truth self-evident. I'm gonna run for president. Bum, 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 bum. Thank you very much. Yay, Green Party.